Hey, dudes, dudettes, and doodles. I haven't posted in about a million years, and that sucks of me, and I'm sorry about that. I've been feeling bad, let's not get parasocial about it. By the way, please subscribe. I've been making a series on this channel where I go through episodes of My Little Pony and talk about the messages in them and how they could be applied to adult life. I've been working on the next episode, but I've been seriously struggling with it. I find it very difficult to say a lot about it while also keeping the videos My Little Pony oriented. I worry that people will go into it looking for hardcore My Little Pony analysis and then get disappointed when I inevitably start rambling about how I feel about economics. In a way that's only tangentially related to the video. So instead, I'm going to do shorter, but hopefully better, because they'll be less bloated, analyses of all the episodes from season 1. All in one video, because to be entirely honest, I also just want to move on from the series, and there are so many episodes of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic. I already did the first 2 episodes, which means we're starting with episode 3, The Ticket Master. This episode is about how, if you're having some sort of problem, you can always ask someone with more experience than you for help. There's usually something that can be done, but you just aren't familiar enough with the situation to go beyond the resources you already have. School has always been really difficult for me because of my ADHD and depression, but this year I've been doing a college certificate, and I've found it so much easier because I've been a lot better about reaching out to my professors once I realized I was having problems. I was also lucky enough to have understanding professors, as well as generally having a pretty privileged background that certainly helped. But talking to your professors, your teachers, your parents, any kind of positive role model when you have a problem is really important. That said, it's honestly a lesson that took me a really long time to fully sink in, so don't beat yourself up if you still struggle with this. Medication can also help. I did episode 4, and here's episode 5, Griffin the Brush Off. If your friend is hanging out with a toxic person, that doesn't mean you need to stop being their friend. Continue being a good friend to them so they know that they're supported. Also, this isn't stated outright, but maybe believe your friends if they tell you someone is being abusive. If I had figured out this meaning of the lesson before, I probably would have made a full video on it, but I didn't, so this is what you get. Also, I feel like there's something about cancel culture in here, but I can't quite put my finger on what it is. Episode 6, Boastbusters. It's okay to be proud of your accomplishments. Problems occur when you assume that your accomplishments make you better or more important than other people. Ayn Rand was wrong and very annoying. Episode 7, Dragon Shy. It's literally fine to have anxiety. It's important for the safety of you and people around you that you stand up for justice and clean air. I wonder where that dragon went. Personally, I think it's fine if you aren't at this place right now. I'm not. I try to stand up for myself in little ways and support important causes in the small ways that I can. This is a message from me and not the episode, but it's fine if you can't be a prominent activist right now or ever, really. I think it's just saying that bravery in the face of injustice is more important than bravery in the face of butterflies. I'm scared of butterflies. Episode 8, Look Before You Sleep. Applejack and Rarity are lesbians. Episode 10, Swarm of the Century. Listen to your friends. This is the second time in this season that an episode in this season had this lesson, and both times it was about Twilight needing to listen to Pinkie Pie. Personally, I think she's speciesist against Earth ponies. Episode 7, Winter Warm-Up. Don't bust into other cultures thinking you know what's best, but also everyone can help in their own way. This one's a little muddled. Episode 12, Call of the Cutie. The education system pressures children into making life choices too quickly, and we need to set up a new system that actually teaches them properly. Episode 13, Fall Weather Friends. I don't remember, I think it was something about how competition is way less rad than cooperation, and a little competition is fine as long as it's all in good fun or something. Episode 14, Suited for Success. This one is about Marxist alienation from the act of laboring. I was really looking forward to making a video on this, but I guess I'm not now. Anyway, Rarity stops enjoying her work that is her passion because she's no longer doing it out of a genuine love for her craft, but because of her annoying friends and capitalism. Rarity might be super racist, but she's also a Marxist. So pretty consistent then. Episode 15, Feeling Pinky Keen.
I still don't believe all this special power stuff. It's just a bunch of mumbo-jumbo.
What's not to believe? You do magic. What's the difference?
Huge.
What did I tell you? 3rd time this season, people. Episode 16, Sonic Rainboom. Don't do cultural appropriation, Rarity. I'm getting really tired while writing the script, and you can tell. Last time it happened while filming and editing, and now you can see what a half-baked script looks like instead. Episode 17, Stairmasters. Looking after children is difficult. Episode 18, The Showstoppers. I refuse to watch this episode because all the characters in it are annoying and it reminds me of all the embarrassing stuff I did as a kid, and it reminds me of the fact that I'm no longer a kid and will one day die. Episode 19, A Dog and Pony Show. Just because someone's feminine doesn't mean they're incapable of protecting themselves. I could definitely go deeper into this topic, but I won't. Episode 20, Green Isn't Your Color. Communication. Episode 21, Over a Barrel. Okay, here's one that I can't just make some quippy joke about. The representation of Aboriginal people in this episode isn't great. This episode really would have benefited from like a 10-second interaction where Rainbow Dash goes, didn't you notice them putting up like an entire orchard on your land? And the buffalo responds, of course we noticed. They promised they would only use a little bit, but then they went back on their promise. They could use that scene to replace the one where they imply indigenous food is gross for no reason, or the needlessly long my father and his father joke is way too drawn back, and even as a child I knew that seemed in bad taste. I think some people would say that it's supposed to be an allegory about sharing and compromise, so it wouldn't work as well if the settlers were more clearly in the wrong. Firstly, I think it's messed up that so many creators are so willing to view Aboriginal people more as allegories and as actual groups that exist and can be affected by things. But secondly, I just don't think this is true. I actually think that making the settlers clearly at fault makes the message even stronger. Firstly, sometimes it just is more one person's responsibility to compromise than others. Secondly, there's a certain extent to which it doesn't really matter whose fault or who started it, because there are material conditions now that need to be dealt with. Like, when people start talking about reparations, you'll often hear them say things like, white people aren't responsible for what our ancestors did. But that argument doesn't really hold up, because even if the initial damage was caused by, like, a hurricane or giant spiders or something, and those are things that white people definitely probably aren't responsible for, had caused the lasting problems we see today, those communities would still need the same relief and support, and functionally that would be the same as reparations. So I don't buy this whole reparations is the same as punishment thing. And basically saying it doesn't matter who started it doesn't have as much weight unless we know who started it. Or the episode could have been about owning up to your mistakes and fixing them, instead of being about compromise, which might have been more appropriate considering the subject matter. I'm not really all that educated on this. I'm almost completely speaking out of my ass on this one, so if you're a member of an indigenous community, let me know what you think. Episode 22, A Bird in the Hoof. This episode is about being inquisitive when you have a concern instead of jumping into ill-informed action. Insert biting social commentary here. Episode 23, The Cutie Mark Chronicles. Fate is real? Episode 24, Owl's Well That Ends Well. This is the second? Actually, it might be more than the second. This is another episode in this season that's about jealousy and communication. It's also a Spike episode, so I didn't bother to rewatch it before writing this, so if the actual lesson is a bit different from that, oops. Episode 25, Party of One. Best episode. Also an episode about jealousy and communication, though. Episode 26. Things don't always go the way you planned. Sometimes you want to make a series where you analyze all the episodes of My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, but then you realize there are a lot of episodes that you just don't have much to say about, and then you realize there are just so many episodes that trying to tackle them all is probably a task that would take you forever. Then you discover that you're not actually very good at analysis, regardless of what your cinema professor says, and slowly you come to terms with the fact that you feel trapped in the format you'd initially enjoyed, and that you don't want to make the kind of stuff anymore, but you're worried that the small audience you have might leave if you stop doing it, just as a completely random and hypothetical example. But you don't have to feel bad for failing at what you'd initially planned to do. The important thing is that you find some joy in what you end up doing, even if it's completely different from what you initially had in mind. I think next time I'm going to do a comedic reading of Beyond Good and Evil by Friedrich Nietzsche while painting. That's basically in my wheelhouse.